Hey guys, so I wanted to talk to you about hardtail mountain bikes, specifically steel hardtail mountain bikes, and then I also want to talk about aluminum rims. Have we gone to the day that if you buy or you let your friend buy a hardtail, or if you let your friend keep that steel or that aluminum wheel set on his new bike, he's still a beginner, or it's not as nice as he could have by having a carbon rim and having a full suspension bike? And I want us to ponder that while I discuss my 3 steel hardtails that I bought at different times, and I've kept them over the years, and guess what, they've lasted a long time. They haven't become irrelevant. I don't have any pivots to clean or replace, no bearings to replace, and they've morphed into different things with just parts bin. So this originally used to be my single speed. It was a rigid single speed. I've rode El Prieto tons of times on it. You guys may have seen me on El Prieto, those that are local, and this bike was great. I had a little bit bigger tires, obviously. Those are gravel tires. They're 700 by 50, but they measure 2 inches on those rims. And let's look at those aluminum rims. Those are the Velocity Blunt 35, which are 30 millimeter internal width, and look how nicely those gravel tires set on there. I just love the way that looks, and it rides really nice. It's a great commuter bike. It's basically a flat bar gravel bike. And so when I went and took my single speed parts off of it, I put this 2x10 XTR group set that's been morphed with this original wolf tooth goat link and chain ring. Remember when wolf tooth had that bigger chain ring you could get to add a little bit of range to your 2x10? So that's what that is, and I think that's an XT cassette, or it might even be an SLX cassette with that big 40 tooth ring put in there, and then it worked because of the goat link. It wouldn't work with the original XTR derailleur, so I put the XT. And on the back, these rims, I'm actually using these same rims on my gravel bike, but this not with this big a tire. And this has the same tire, the Gravel King, and but this is the Blunt SS, which is Velocity's XC type of rim, aluminum rim, really nice, made in the USA, and it's 26.6 internal width. So the front is 30 millimeter internal width, the rear is 26.6. But most of the parts were just parts bin. I took my other handlebars off and my other stem off and put them on my new single speed when I built up a new single speed, and then used these older brakes and older shifters on here. And then I built up this when I wanted to get something a little more rowdy, and I wanted to put the Fox 34 float on there. So instead of spending all my money on a full suspension and having to deal with all the extra money for that, I used the money to build up a dream hardtail. And it's steel. Now, it's not an expensive steel hardtail frame. I think I spent like $500 or $600. This was when Escar first bought that Hayduke name from Advocate Bikes, the REI brand, but they bought that name and then they built this up with quad butted chromoly. This one actually has Reynolds main triangle. I don't know if you remember the Niner, but Niners had Reynolds 853 triangle and the main triangle, and then the rest was obviously 4130 chromoly. I'm not sure if it's quad butted or double butted, but Escar did a great thing. They made this portage system that you could switch it out and make it a single speed or make it geared, They actually allowed you to go and use some of your old parts and have it as a 142. Salza and Surly still do that, for your information. Two great companies that are still keeping hardtails relevant. But I really like Escar. I fell in love with Escar with this bike. Here's the aluminum rims. Now I went really crazy wide with an I-40 rim with those race face arc rims. But with those race face arc rims, I actually had bird spokes, lace them up to my Hadley hubs, and put these really big Terraville Kessel tires. Now they say 2.6, but it measures 2.5. This says 2.5, but it measures 2.4. But this is on the same rim, but this rim is the 35, the Arc 35, which is 35 millimeter internal width. And part spin. This was a part spin crank, part spin pedals, part spin water bottle cages. I added some extra bling with the wolf tooth bling kit with the gold in there, and the Flow Pro 120 levers that I put on there. But the rest of it, this was on sale, the Renthal stem, and then I went ahead and got a Renthal carbon bar. I originally had the aluminum bar, but I went ahead and got the carbon bar because why not? And I feel it's nice. A carbon bar, when you have 31/8, really has a lot of flex to it. So if you like compliant bars and you don't feel like you're going to crack them, then stick with 31/8 and go carbon. And then I built this one up. Now this is a little more on the dream side because this was my second hardtail from Escar, but I built up the original Escar Jaffe when it came out. I couldn't resist. The newer model is updated just slightly, but this one I went all out with, again with a 34. Same XT brakes, but I just did they call that jet fuel. Jet fuel and the oil slick. A lot of wolf tooth stuff. The wolf tooth bling. The better bolts. I put the better bolts stuff on there too. And really went all out to make this a nice single speed. This is the second crank set I've had on here because the original crank set with a 30 millimeter spindle just kept eating my bottom brackets. So now I have regular Cane Creek Hellbender 70 bottom brackets, same with Hellbender 70 headset. Some basic parts, but you know, I could upgrade those if I really wanted to, but those work. I wanted to show you some details on this too. I even went with the blingy bolts for all my mounts right here too. And that's thanks to Better Bolts to give me those really nice bolts there and make those things bling. Let's show you this, show you it on here. Let me see if I can get around here on this bike. But and then Revere, I forget the name, the company that put those, that I got those for the 180 brakes. I got the extenders. That's a weird size, the way it goes on there. It's not really the extension. And then I did that here with the Better Bolts and that extension there to do the 180 rotors. I see no need to go to 200s. I'm fine with 180s, but this comes native as a 160, so I had to get that mount. I kept it as 160 on here because I got the wrong size when I got this one, so I need to get the right size for that one to make that 180 in the back. But that's how they're built up. And again, aluminum rims, these Chromag Phase 30 rims. This is my second set of these rims. They're great. The other one's it's still got another wheel set built up in my garage, but they're great rims. They really have a little bit of give, and I'm not worried about cracking them and cracking an expensive carbon rim. That's the other thing too. When you build up a hardtail, you're not as worried about scratching and cracking and messing up your frame as you would a full suspension. You've got no pivots, no bearings, none of that stuff in there. And a little bit lower maintenance, I would say. So don't let your friends tell you that if you're riding a hardtail, you're a beginner, or you're riding your entry-level bike, I think hardtails can do 90% of what full suspensions can do. It's more about the rider, and it's more about knowing your trail and knowing what to expect, and maybe picking a different line than you would on a full suspension. And maybe, yes, you might have to walk some sections, but don't think you can't jump. Maybe you're not going to want to get as airborne, because you're going to land, if you're landing to flat, it's going to be a little bit harder to land on a hardtail. But you see those guys on the BMX bikes, I mean, they jump off some pretty crazy high stuff, and they know how to land. And so I feel like, especially my single speed, I feel like it's a big BMX bike, almost like a pump track type of bike. And my rigid, when this was my single speed, but now my rigid gear bike literally feels like a big BMX bike. I feel great with that thing. So that's a close look at my hardtails and my opinion about, hey, just get a hardtail, guys. You are not missing out on anything, and don't let marketing and your friends make you think that if you have a hardtail with aluminum rims that you have something less of a bike and you're less serious about mountain biking. You could ride just as serious with these bikes as I do, and I do not see the need to get a full suspension. And I do long rides on these too. I do 5-hour rides on these. I'm fine with that. Yes, I'm getting beat up more, but does it justify me having to buy a $3,000-$4,000 full suspension frame, or a $7,000-$8,000 full suspension bike? I don't see the value there, and I'd rather just customize my hardtails. So that's my opinion. You guys leave your comments below. Thanks for watching.